It is 12 noon. It is the 9th day of August 2021. I am your grumpy guide to all things gaming, the OGGM, also occasionally called Uncle Mike. Hello and welcome. It is the 9th day of RPG a Day 2021. All month, every day of the month, we are looking at these prompts that have been put up for us and trying to come up with celebrations of our hobby. And today's prompts were medium, which just makes me think of an order of fries and not really role-playing, roll, emotion, and percentage. I feel like I've already covered emotion and roll, but percentage made me think of Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu has been around for decades and is widely considered one of the best role-playing games ever created. It is also the #1 selling role-playing game in Japan. Why is it considered one of the best role-playing, if not the best role-playing games of all time? Well, because it sort of subverts the ideas of the more classic D&D type games, because it uses a percentile-based system as opposed to other systems, and our brains tend to understand like 50, 70, 90, 100% a little bit better than they do 1, 10, 15, add plus 5 to get 20, but you're minus 3, so that's actually 17, but you have advantage, so you get to, but 100% good, 0% bad. Our brains kind of figure that out better if we, understand the basics of math, which I don't. But mostly it's considered the best because it subverts the ideas of the typical RPG genre, where instead of playing this heroic character who's out there to, get rewards and kill monsters, you're playing characters who are always outmatched, outclassed, overwhelmed, facing threats beyond anything that you can be imagined, always at the risk of losing life, limb, or sanity. But more importantly, the system is very easy to convert to other systems. I remember one story somebody told me about a bunch of people wanting to play vampire type games, showing up at his house really late, and they're like, dude, let's play. He didn't have a vampire role-playing game, so he just brought out Call of Cthulhu, wrote down a few changes to make it more themed to vampire, ran it. I had a friend in college. We had just gone to see a movie, Time Bandits. We're walking out of Time Bandits, and somebody says, run something. That friend didn't have a time travel system, but he just basically took Call of Cthulhu and made a few changes to it to be able to run his time travel game, which lasted almost a year and has inspired me greatly even to this day. So, percentage system is what Call of Cthulhu uses. It is one of the best role-playing games probably ever. Its system is so easy, so adaptable. And of course, the Cthulhu setting is one of the most explored settings in our, medium. Lovecraft horror is constantly revisited in books, movies, video games, animation, live action, everything. It is just tentacle horror. Lovecraft horror is constantly something we constantly come back to because it's just such an outrageous exploitation of what our senses and of what we think is right and the way the world should work. And Lovecraft tentacle horror, non-Euclidean geometry horror, everything about that horror is just so wrong that it does have that sort of level of appeal to us because it's horrible, but it's also kind of fun, sort of like riding a roller coaster and, playing a character that, might risk life and limb every day in a D&D setting where, there's magic healing. So really, you're never at that much of a risk, as opposed to playing in a character in a Call of Cthulhu setting where one percentage roll is all that stands between you and losing your mind forever. That's a lot more risk for very little reward, but makes those successes that much more appreciative because you went against an overwhelming force that could not be beat and you came out alive. And it just applies to any genre. I mean, Aliens is Lovecraft horror. So yeah, Call of Cthulhu, percentage-based system, one of the best role-playing games probably ever. It always surprises me that there's not more role-playing games that use percentage-based systems or that haven't, been hacked to Call of Cthulhu. I can only think of 4. We know that there's a superhero Call of Cthulhu hack. We know there's a fantasy Call of Cthulhu hack. I believe there's a Ghostbusters, which was the original system that became Call of Cthulhu and then was redone using that system again. And I think the Hercules role-playing game used a version of Call of Cthulhu percentile system. And, of course, my friend's time travel campaign and the vampire game, the other game guy ran that eventually became published as Monster Hearts, but then he switched it over to Powered by the Apocalypse as opposed to Call of Cthulhu. But I assume he still has his Call of Cthulhu rules. So, percentage and the medium of horror. See, we came back to medium. The medium of Lovecraftian horror, Call of Cthulhu. How come we have the ability to be able to use Cthulhu? I mean, everywhere you go, you see something related to Cthulhu. There's Cthulhu stuffed animals. It's because Lovecraft's estate is written in such a way that all the creations of his fiction are public domain. That with very little work, anybody can make a tentacle horror, Lovecraftian, sacrificing mind, body, and sanity style of role-playing game. Percentage. So roll some percentages and see if you survive your encounter with this vlog by subscribing. If you haven't subscribed yet, think about it. It does cost you anything, and it helps me out a lot to get to reach that 1,000 subs goal by the 50th anniversary of our amazing hobby. Till then, stay warm, stay dry, stay sane, and when you see a tentacle coming out of your closet, run the other way and get off my land. Percentage.